All right, are we live?
Yeah. Oof.
All right, we are live. We are officially live with episode 100 of the Super Deformed Gamescast. Was everybody able to see the intro video playing?
I
I
don't
did
think
not
so.
see the intro.
No,
I
it
don't
didn't
think
play,
so.
John. It
No.
just went. It just went straight
It was
to
just
live.
us. It was all just us sitting here quietly.
Of course it was, because that's how.
Super good. Super
That's
good.
how we
stuff.
roll here.
So I want to blame Gabe for that officially. I'm just kidding.
What happened?
Hey, it's okay. It wouldn't be SDGC. If...
Yeah, but you know what? You know what?
Start
But
with that.
here's the deal. Here's the deal. We're gonna play the fucking intro video because I want everybody to see it. I want everybody to see how awesome it is.
All right.
So here we go. This intro, it's going down.
On mute right now.
All right, yay! There's the intro video. How did it look on the stream, guys? Can anybody tell me how it looked on the stream? I would really appreciate that.
Looked awesome.
Did it look good?
Was stuttering quite a
It was
bit.
stuttering.
It is fine.
Whatever. It wouldn't be SDGC if something didn't go wrong, so that's fine. Anyway, welcome to episode 100 of SDGC. As you can see, a lot has changed. We have made a lot of changes to the format. People in the chat, yeah. Dio says the intro was a bit stuttery. I know it was working fine yesterday. So it figures on the day we go live with episode 100, everything would be completely. Say la vie, I guess. But these are kinks we'll work on.
If you have any
I
problems, you
could.
need to tweet it at the official Twitter, and we'll try to get a report back as soon as possible. Some patch notes or anything.
We're working on setting up the support Twitter account. SDGC helps.
Yeah. So right off the bat, hey Jay, can you mod Brandon? I would appreciate that. So right off the bat, there's a few changes coming to the podcast that we wanted to tell you guys about. Obviously, as you can see, we are now on Twitch. We have abandoned YouTube. The format was just too restrictive. We all hated Google Plus, and going into PAX East, we wanted to do something a bit more. I don't know. PAX East is going to be big for us this year.
There's nothing more professional than Twitch TV.
I know, right, dude? It's professional as fuck up in here.
That's why it has TV in the URL.
I know. So there's gonna be a lot of changes coming to the podcast, and right off the bat, I want Jay. I love that sound. What that Final Fantasy victory theme when somebody subscribes to the channel. It's so good. I love it. Jay, could you get into some of the additional content that's gonna be coming to the podcast, starting with your deal, please?
All right. Well, for one thing, we haven't completely abandoned YouTube. After our shows will be going to YouTube. So if you missed a live show, you'll be able to catch it on YouTube. But other than that, we're going to be uploading content to our YouTube. So it's just like videos and like gameplay, streams, whatever. But I'm working on a pre-recorded show. Some of it, or should I keep that under?
No, keep going, dude. Do it. Let roll with it.
I'm working on a show called Appeals Court, and pretty much it's gonna be like a three together, and someone's going to have to like try to sell the game to someone else, and it's gonna be like in a court setting. It's really hard to talk about right now, but like, has to have like a consistent theme and kind of have like a setting. It's kind of like a audio theater play. I think you're really going to dig this. So, Zach's been working on it with me. Record the audio I accidentally record though.
Yeah. So we are early with some of it, but we've got ideas of Jay's got some ideas of what we want to do with the show. And so we're hoping to have pilots out sooner rather than later. We've got graphics made, we just have to get that pilot ready.
And
Pilot ready. It's my birthday tomorrow actually, so like I'm not working this weekend, so you guys are not going to get that till like next week.
I think it's really, and you guys are going to get a third man on there too, right?
Jeff's going to be on the pilot with us.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, I thought I was.
Yeah, I thought I was.
I thought I was. Wait, hold on a minute. I thought it was me.
Awkward.
Oh, you
But one of the things
bitches.
that
You
Jay,
two-time and
one of the things that Jay thought was a good idea, and I totally agree, and I think everyone here does, and even people who watch, is that we will be doing these shows pre-recorded, and so they will just be extra content for you to listen to at your leisure, and they won't be a scheduled live show like this is. So hopefully that caters to some people. We've had people ask for that before, so hopefully that we cover that.
production
my
value
friend
is going
Matt-
to go through the roof.
My
It's
friend
really
Matt's
easy
been-
to improve production value when we start at 0. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Made
right.
some really good intro music for Appeals Court. I can't wait for Appeals Court. It's going to be live whenever it's live, which is hopefully sooner rather than later. I'm really excited for the project, and I hope you guys are excited for it as well. So
You want to talk about zero production values? You should go back and listen to our episodes from 2016.
Yeah, you want to talk about improvements to the
You
format.
know, I will. I do. A small part of me misses Brian's heavy breathing.
Oh my god, I remember that. Oh,
It
dude,
kind of
yeah.
became a normal part of the show. You get used to it after a while.
They had a unique guitar.
All right, I want to get Jeff real quick to talk about his new venture, and then I want to move on to Shinobi. So Jeff, why don't you talk about what you're going to be doing on the channel?
Yeah, so some people here might remember I started up a movie podcast last year, and I decided to do that right in the middle of moving and selling my place. So it didn't go so well. I only did about 4 or 5 episodes and just wasn't able to make the time to commit to a weekly show. So I kind of put on the back burner for a bit to try and figure out how and when I was going to go about doing that. So we're bringing it back. It's just going to be part of the SDGC channel. So first of all will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and they'll be streamed. Well, I guess it's going to be a pre-recorded show, so it won't be live on Twitch, but you will be able to find it with the rest of our podcast archives. And I also have a SoundCloud and iTunes um, podcast configured for it. I'm modifying that to host all of our SDGC content. So you'll be able to get the regular games cast on there, as well as Pause for Popcorn, as well as Appeals Court. You should be able to get all that through SoundCloud and through iTunes. iTunes is just a real pain in the ass, so I'm just working to try and figure out how to update that properly. And the goal will be to have all the episodes up on audio formats within a day or two of us recording them. Yeah, the movie show, Pause for Popcorn, will have like reviews of new movies. I want to do some retrospectives where we kind of go back and rewatch older movies. It'll be a mix of like rewatching them for people that have already seen them, but ideally we'll have like a third rotating guest, and on a lot of those it'd be fun to get someone who's never seen this before and kind of like see that contrast. Coming from a perspective of someone who's never seen these things and analyze how they've aged and stuff like that. And then we'll just do like some topical episodes as well, like maybe speculating on an upcoming movie or like who should be the next James Bond, or we'll do TV shows too when applicable. Just depends. It's hard to get everyone watching the same shows all at the same time, so that's a little bit trickier. But yeah, if you guys have any interest in that kind of stuff, you should definitely keep an eye out for it.
Did you
I'd like to add
mention
one more thing? Can I add one more thing really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that like with the move to Twitch, it's like we know people like YouTube and whatnot, but like with Twitch, it's gonna be easier for us to like rip the audio off our shows. So like it's available in more places besides like one place. So like if you can't sit at your computer or you can't go on Twitch, like you should be able to download on iTunes or SoundCloud or whatever like platforms, so like we could reach you guys like a larger audience.
Yeah, well, and so that's kind of the important thing, right? Is even though we're still on Twitch, you'll be able to still get all the episodes on. You'll be able to get them on SoundCloud. We're gonna get back on iTunes, and we're just kind of find more ways to reach you guys.
Some people, they just want to listen, and that's totally fine.
Some people don't want to see this shit. Like some people don't want to see this. Some people just want to hear it. And that's fine with me. Like I don't understand.
Someone in the chat. Matt, you were asking about the sake emote. So if you guys want custom emotes or sake emotes, we need to become a Twitch partner.
We do.
So you need to sub. Wait, oh Jesus.
Christ Almighty,
Speaking of sake.
Still a trash
If you
fire.
want more of that,
so bad.
Yeah.
You know
Make sure you
can't have 100
subscribe and help us get a
episodes that's
partnership, and you will be able to get sake emotes.
Yeah, for whatever that's worth, please help us. And so I want to move on. Oh, and before we move on to Shinobi, real quick, we're also going to be doing a lot of streaming starting tomorrow, or really all through this weekend, starting with Monster Hunter World. We're going to be streaming every week for you guys, and you'll be able to find that right here on the new Twitch. And I want to introduce our very special guest, a very good friend of the podcast and a very good friend of mine. You guys know him as Shinobi602, but we know him as Nate, and he is now with Wushu Studios. Dude, it's been way too long since you've been on, and we are so happy to have you back.
Yeah, it really has, man. I was just thinking it's been too long because every time we try to get something going, try to get together, there's always a conflict schedule. So tried really hard to finally get on tonight. So I'm really glad to be here.
Oh, dude, we're so happy to have you, man. That's just life, dude. That's just life
Yeah.
constantly getting in the way.
Yeah,
But
that's understandable. No
but
problem.
man, I'll tell you what a huge step for you. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you started on GAF, and now here you are as the PR and marketing head for Wushu, man. Like, honest to God, like, what do you say to something like that? You've got to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, it still. I mean, it still feels surreal to be honest.
yeah, that kind of thing doesn't just happen all the
It
time.
yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. I feel like it's been a long time coming, and I've been trying to find my way into the industry. In a way that doing something that I love, and the
Yeah, and
opportunity just came up.
yeah, this will be a good opportunity, and when this is over, more to put on a resume to continue.
Yeah,
Exactly.
make
yeah,
money.
definitely. Well, I'm hoping to to be with Wushu for for the long term, and grow alongside them. We have a really strong team going, a small team right now, but we're still growing. So I'm really excited to to see like
Now, what is exactly Wushu Studios? It's made up of former devs from where?
yeah. So Wushu officially formed back in August of last year. So I met up with the studio head right now. His name is Alan McDermott. He was an audio director at Evolution Studios for a number of years. He worked on the
So
MotorStorm
it's like, yeah,
series. He
Motorstorm
worked
Drive
on
Club
Drive
days.
Club. And after that, after Evolution was shuttered, he kind of formed a new independent studio called Secret Sorcery, and they put out a really nice game called Tethered on PSVR and Oculus and things like that back in 2016, I believe. That was really well received. And after that, he so what happened was, PSVR was kind of still in its infancy, VR in general, really. Um, and even though something like Tether was a hit, kind of critically, working in VR is kind of commercially challenging. I'm sure you guys understand because the market's small. Not as many people are into it as other mainstream games. So he kind of felt you know the opportunity was there to move back into kind of mainstream console games. So he got together with some former colleagues of his, and so the three leads are him, which he worked on Motorstorm Drive Club, and as well as Nigel Kershaw. He was the game director for Motorstorm Pacific Rift, so he has a lot of experience. He's been in the industry for like 30 years,
Heck
back
yeah.
from the Ocean Software days, um, and he has a ton of experience. He's our design director, so he's working on actual game design for our game. And Stuart Trevor is our art director, and he has a ton of experience. He was also a lead artist and creative lead back at Evolution Studios, and he worked on projects for a ton of different companies. Nintendo, Sega, um, Atlas. Even like non-gaming brands like Ford and Adidas, things like that. So he's really experienced in art direction, like trailer production, motion capture, things like that. So those are our leads right now. I came on board earlier this month, probably about around the beginning of this month. I was in talks with them since last month, and we just have a really good thing going. We're working on a sci-fi game, so and that's my favorite genre. So I'm really really excited to finally for the game to get further along, um, into next year, and just kind of for it to grow and finally share with everyone, share publicly. So I'm really really excited.
So two quick things. I don't think you mentioned it specifically. Is it still a really small team?
Yeah, well, right now there's about 11 of us right now.
Okay.
So yeah, we're a small team right now, but the plan is to definitely grow, because our game is pretty ambitious. So we definitely want to expand.
Aren't you guys
Um,
actually looking for character designers right now?
I'm sorry, say it again.
The studios is actually looking for character designers right now. I thought I would get that
Yeah,
shout out in this chat.
yeah,
this
yeah. So
podcast.
yeah, if anyone of you listening knows any good character designers, definitely hit us up. Um, yeah, so we're 11 right now. Like I said, we definitely want to grow. We're going to GDC in March, so we have there's a lot of interested partners who want to talk to us, who want to see what we have to offer. So it's really good. Progress on the game is growing really really well. So yeah, right now everything's looking real good. So we're real hopeful. Next few months, what's gonna happen?
Nice.
That's
Nice.
so
Yeah,
Well,
awesome.
we're
Cool,
all
man.
excited.
Well, I have a quick question for you, Nate.
yeah.
Um, a little birdie told me, and by that I mean I made it up myself, that you were actually going to tell us right now what your game was live on Twitch.
Yeah, I
Can you confirm or deny that?
I gotta meet this birdie because I gotta take him out.
No, but just from personally, I just wanted to say congrats because I know you've been
Yeah,
looking to break in for a while, and it's good to have you on board the industry.
yeah,
Wushu is definitely going to benefit from you.
yeah. I really appreciate it, man. And I'm honestly like just the reception. Like, I was so happy to share with everyone. I didn't even think it was gonna be that big. At least that many people messaging me. I was really heartfelt, and it made me feel really good, because I've been trying for so long, and it feels like I can finally kind of just flex my creativity here and just really really be like the champion and promoter for this studio. So I'm gonna do my best.
Well,
Well,
it's a
and what?
testament to your character that so many people were so happy for you because for years you've just been such a positive force in gaming on Twitter and on GAF. I mean,
Yeah.
you're the opposite of the cynical gamer, and
Well,
it's
and
nice to see, and it's rare to see. So
well,
I
and
think it's
what is super gratifying for
well
me?
deserved.
What is super gratifying for me is that I mean, Nate, without getting too deep into the conversations we've had on Twitter, I mean, you and I have been, you and I have been friends for. I remember DMing back and forth with you like long ago, and you would tell me, "Man, all I want to do is just work in the industry. That's the dream. If I could just
Yeah.
work in the industry I love, that would be the dream." And now you're here, and just wanted to,
Yeah.
just wanted to tell you,
Like I
man,
said, man,
dude.
honestly, it feels surreal. Like sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm thinking, am I actually going to work right now? Am I,
It's so
I
good.
just love it. I'm really loving what I'm doing, and I'm being genuine. I've never felt that way in my life. I've never enjoyed what I do until now. Um, so it's honestly it's an amazing feeling, and the guys at Wushu, they're so nice. They're so awesome to work with. Everyone loves games. You know, we just joke around with each other all day, and we enjoy it. We love what we do. So I hope over the next coming weeks and months, we're gonna slowly start maybe talking or teasing a little more about our game. So
I mean, yeah, and it's just
that's
getting started. I mean, like, wait till you actually have something to show, like something you can be
Guys, I have
proud
a
of
important
Yeah.
to show other people.
SDGC announcement.
yeah.
John needs to check his DMs in the chat on Discord.
Okay, I
John, we
can't.
think your audio's on. You're creating an echo, bud.
Nate, I actually have a question for you. If you can't
Hold on a
go into
second.
YouTube,
I'll be right back.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll be right back, guys.
So I know when Reset Era started, you were like one of the big guys on Reset Era. What's your position at Wushu Studios? Does that affect your position on Reset Era since it's a gaming forum?
Yeah, I mean, it's so. I mean, officially, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there are, for example, since I'm still part of the administration team on there, there are moderators on there that are also developers on different game, from different game studios that I know personally. So I mean, it's not like there's a work conflict of interest. I mean, you could technically say the same thing, if if someone was on there was from the fountain drink industry or whatever, and there's a thread on Coca-Cola, and be like, well, there's a conflict of interest there.
Mountain Dew and
You can say
Doritos.
about any uh industry, but I've been so busy lately that honestly I haven't really had much time to even be on Reset Era for a while. So but that might change. I mean, there's no mandate for me to, but I might just kind of level off from there, because I've just been so busy. But there's no mandate or anything necessarily speaking.
Isn't the rule just as long as you
They're all that
disclose?
wondering.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, and that's definitely been fully disclosed, and there's no no one does self promotion on Reset Era. That's definitely part of the TOS. So I don't mess with anything like that. So I just let, if anyone wants to talk about Wushu, they're more than welcome to. And I don't even moderate really on there. That's the moderator's job. I just I meet with the admin team and we just talk about things for the forum really. So
So, question for you.
Sorry, that
So,
was like a little too deep.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Like, hey, I wanted to just adjust something that JT said real quick. I actually, so I had to run and get my phone because I've got to keep my my screen here in full screen, so I can't actually like look at anything on my computer. I got to do it on my phone,
Yeah.
and the Discord text channels are down right now.
okay.
So-
So question for you. So,
yeah.
are the majority of the developers U.S. based, UK based?
Yeah, most of us are. Or some, I'm not in the UK myself, but the
Right.
majority of the team are. Um, the
Is
main,
that
ma-
is that kind of a challenge with things, or is that just kind of part of the learning curve?
it's honest. I mean, sure it would be easier if we were all in house. Obviously, I mean, instead of getting in touch over the internet, I could just run over to someone's desk real quick. But
Right.
yeah, it's a learning curve. We're all adapting to it, but we found a really nice groove going right now. I wake up not bright and early, so I get to work real early in the morning, and we all have a good thing going. So far so good.
Right.
So, but
I
yeah,
mean, and like you said, it's early days, and so
yeah,
just, yeah.
yeah, it's real early right now. We haven't even talked about really anything about the game at all, other than it's in the science fiction genre. So
Right.
it's still early days, and we're still just getting settled in, and getting a good groove going, basically.
Right. Do you?
Yeah.
And again, I might be asking questions way too prematurely. Do you think do you
Yeah.
think that long term the goal is to get everybody in house, or do you think for right now at least remote work is working out fine?
Well, so the way we look at it is, because I have meetings with the guys regularly. The way we look at it is, if it can be done remote, if it makes sense, then we can leave it that way.
Right.
If it's working out fine, it's perfectly fine. We have artists right now who are, some are based in Canada, some are, from other places around the world. It's everyone's real professional about it. Everyone's wants to see Wushu, like, be successful and stuff. So um it's working out great. I mean, like I said, obviously it'd be a lot easier if everyone was in the studio in house, but
Right.
for now, for the time being, it's working out fine. So we're just gonna keep going and see what the future brings, I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, one more quick thing.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
obviously, super early days. We keep reiterating that.
Yeah.
So do you think two questions, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you think that we will hear more about the game sooner rather than later? So maybe in the next year. And then, do you guys have a timeline that you and maybe you want to keep that quiet timeline of how long you think your development process might be at this?
Yeah. I mean, so we started prototyping um, our game last year, back around September. So we have a really good prototype going. So I can't really say exactly how long that process is going to take until to release, but I think everyone here is kind of familiar with how long games typically take to make.
A long fucking time.
Huh?
A long
A
fucking time.
really long fucking time.
Yeah, exactly. But for the other question, I mean, we're actually coming along, really well. Version 4, so that really allows some of the artists and some of the designers to really put things together quickly, because there's a lot of assets that are already like high quality production ready, that are already available in UE4, so it allows for like really quick prototyping. So
That's awesome.
I don't know, I can't say exactly when we're gonna start showing the game, but
Of course.
within the next, I would say within the next 12 months, you're definitely gonna see, you'll likely see something.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wushu's next game releasing in 12 months.
You heard it here. You heard it here first.
Heard it
Oh
here.
crap!
Stop
the stream.
Dropping those news
Use
bombs.
the words very carefully.
Just hear
Do you
that
think that
Wushu's next
we'll
game is an anthem killer.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
It's like
Don't
I'm out of here.
Don't do this
Yeah.
to him.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a high bar. We'll try to reach it.
So Obi, it sounds like Wushu Studios in your future will be very bright. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
have 9 people here who are all extremely happy for you and extremely happy for the entire team. So,
Thanks so I know,
yeah,
thanks so
you
much,
guys-
guys. I know we've been close for so long, so it really honestly just feels surreal to be in this kind of position to talk like this. So,
Oh yeah.
really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Of course, buddy. We all love you, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we should probably move on a little bit. And so normally this is the part where we talk about what we've all been playing, but we thought we might mix it up a little bit. Excited about, because there's a lot coming out over the next few months. Tomorrow you have World. Tomorrow you also have Dragon Ball Fighters. There you go. I did it correctly. It's Dragon Ball Fighters with a Z, and I think they actually said.
Fighter Z.
Didn't they say on Twitter today that it's Dragon Ball Fighters, not Dragon Ball Fighter Z?
Yes.
I love
Yeah,
it.
but
It's Dragon
why
Ball
is
Fighters.
Z capitalized if
The
it's
Z is capitalized. yeah.
I'll tell you why. It's
Okay.
because it's Dragon Ball Z, and the Z is always capitalized. And even though this has not been announced in any way, shape, or form, I guarantee you that they did it in that way so that the sequel can be Dragon Ball Fighters with the capital S and have all the Dragon Ball Super people.
Picture his dog is turned into a fucking necromorph.
Oh my god. If
I
you
just
guys haven't seen Gabe's Twitter account, go there and watch the video that's pinned to his Twitter account.
Yeah,
It is the most
guys.
hilarious thing ever.
are you talking about Dolly the soda pop? Is that what it is?
No,
No,
it's
man,
it's
no.
Apollo.
I watched him.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
it's
just have to-
Apollo. Okay, all
Yeah,
right. Yeah, it's his dog.
Yeah.
But
Gosh.
yeah. So what else we got? God of War got a release date. So let's talk about what we're excited about. And we don't really have to. Normally we go, person to person. We have a time limit, but I figure it'd probably be better if we just made this a group discussion, because I think a lot of
Shared interest.
we've all played in beta, be it Monster Hunter World or Sea of Thieves. So why don't we go ahead and start off by talking about Monster Hunter World? Right off the bat, so I played the beta. I played the beta with Zach. I played it with Gabe. Who else here? And I know a few of you other guys have played it as well. Who else played the beta
Yeah.
for Monster Hunter?
Yeah, I have. A couple of us have.
Yo,
Okay, Finn did too. All right. I'll tell you what. Right now, I knew it was a great game when I played it with Zach and Gabe, but I got to be honest with you, it's reviewing a lot higher than I thought it would.
Yeah, same.
Which is
Oh yeah. I remember the reaction when it was first announced. People didn't seem all that like super high about it.
no, they didn't.
So the great thing about Monster Hunter has always been, it's portable. You can take it with you and do a hunt while you're on your way to school or work or whatever, and then put it away and then come back to it later. And I was worried about how that was going to transition to the big screen, with these bite-sized, chunk-sized worlds and game that was scaled around it being portable. But the beta really made me feel like that was tastefully done, that you could just drop right in. And this is definitely the most accessible Monster Hunter there's ever been.
Hey,
I mean, I don't think there's any question.
Real quick, guys. One or two people in chat have noted that we're getting some feedback. Just a tiny little bit of feedback, but it is there. So just make sure that all your streams are muted.
Yep.
But
That's very strange. A lot of us seem to be cognizant of the feedback, and we're all looking and trying to mute. We all keep looking at everybody in chat, but I think what's the thing with the platform. We'll keep doing some testing, but
yeah,
we're sorry about that.
Yeah, we're sorry about that.
But regarding the topic of Monster Hunter, one of the things, and I think this has to do a lot with the beta, is that the beta had a small tutorial section, but really kind of threw people into the deep mechanics of Monster Hunter that fans really enjoy. And you're right that it's got a lot of onboarding and it's the most accessible version, but that doesn't take much. And so like I've got the game coming in the mail tomorrow, but I still find myself being pretty overwhelmed by the game. But I think it's going to be big.
I think that's a function of the beta not really teaching you very well.
Yeah.
I think the full release will have a little bit more of ease into gameplay. Not okay. Here's everything. Go. You know.
Yep.
Well,
yeah.
So I wanted to point out real quick, like when I played it with Zach and Gabe, this is my first Monster Hunter game. Like I have never played Monster Hunter ever. I've never played a single one.
Yeah, I've never played it either.
I've never played. Oh, Brandon, you should have played the beta. It's a lot of fun, especially when you're playing with your friends. And I thought at first. So here's the thing. There's a time limit in the beta. Now I don't know if that time limit extends to the game itself. I didn't think I was gonna like the time limit when we were on these hunts, but honestly, and Zach and Gabe, you guys tell me if you disagree. But I felt it actually gave a sense of urgency to the hunt that I greatly appreciated. Because otherwise, excuse me, I'm still kind of getting over a cold. Because otherwise, I mean, because the area that we were dropped in was so huge and so expansive, I could have found myself just getting lost in there and kind of thrown off track. But that constant push of the time limit kept me like, okay, I'm on a fucking hunt. Like this is a hunt, and we need to find our target. And Zach and Gabe, I was wondering if you guys experienced anything similar, or did the time limit bug you guys?
I don't like time limits in games. Generally speaking, the 20-minute time limit is particularly tight. It's one of the reasons I backed away from games like Dead Rising 2. The time limit is generally making me kind of anxious. From what I've read, though, there is a version where it kind of lends itself to more exploration, and I think that's maybe where I'll find a lot of my fun in the game. But the time limits with friends are fun. But if I'm playing alone and I just want some leisure play, whether that's learning the mechanics or just taking it easy, in the evening, I like the option of not having a time limit.
That's actually the reason that Dead Space, or not Dead Space, I love Dead Space, but that's the reason that Dead Rising never resonated with me, because I hated that fucking time limit. I hated it. I just wanted to run around the mall.
Ironically, both Dead Rising and Monster Hunter are Capcom.
I know. Yeah, dude, that's a great point.
And I feel like time limit is supposed to be like an arcade kind of element. Like they're not really arcade games, but like time limit just kind of gives like an arcade. Like okay, I only have like 20 minutes to complete this, or if I don't complete this,
it's like adding a challenge artificially, sort of.
Yeah.
But that's why
so there's
I
a time
Dead
limit
Rising 4 the most, is because it didn't have a time limit. Kind of just drop you there and like stuff.
What was that, Nate?
On your own.
So the time limit's not optional. There's always a time limit.
There's always a time limit.
Oh, okay.
No, but yeah, it's like 50 minutes, and
I was asking. I've never played.
I thought you meant there. I thought you were like dropping the bomb that there's always a time limit. I was like, oh shit, I'm not sure I like that.
I had heard that if you're on a specific quest, and again, it's hard because reviews are kind of late on this thing because it's not that big of a deal. But so, like people in chat have pointed out, 50 minutes during quests, which was only 20 minutes in the beta, so substantially more time. But from what I understand is if you don't take a quest, you can do exploration without a limit, but there's obviously not big predators, big monsters to be hunting.
So this has been kind of how it's gone in the series. You can have like a gathering, which you go out and there's no time limit, or there's a hunt that does have a time limit.
Okay.
That's how it's been that's like kind of a staple for the
Yeah.
franchise.
So it's been like
Mm.
this.
So one
I
thing,
mean, like the time limit to me is not like a bad thing because like if like say like they gave you like 50 minutes to defeat a boss, well it should only take you 50 minutes or less to defeat that boss. Like if it somehow like if you're not able to defeat that boss in 50 minutes, then something's wrong, and the game's like trying to tell you, hey, you need to go back and like get some better gear before you come back and do this.
Yeah, yeah. I'm generally not a fan of time limits. I mean, in any game, but I mean, if 50 minutes, that's pretty generous. So I think
It is.
pretty generous time
Well,
limit.
Yeah,
I
it
mean, if you
shouldn't be an
can't,
issue.
When we played the beta, Gabe, John, and I, we actually hit the 20-minute time limit once or twice. In 20 minutes, you're right, is obviously quite tight because you have to track the monster. The whole thing is we're gonna throw you in this area. You can spawn in like one of like 8 places, and you have to genuinely track it, and like that can take 8 of the 12 minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
But with 50 minutes, that's pretty generous, and as long as your gear isn't incredibly, early on, and you're following the levels properly,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be too bad. 50 minutes, you're right, is pretty generous.
Well,
Yeah,
and-
yeah. What really excites me about this one, like, cause like Brandon and John, I've never played Monster Hunter before, so I mean, I've always obviously it's always been a high profile series, so I've always paid attention to it, but I've never been interested until now, because I'm a big narrative guy, and I know I heard it seems like there's actually a legit story mode this time, so
That's
that
actually
piqued my
Yeah.
interest. I know I'm not expecting like
It's not gonna be
uh,
compelling.
yeah, I had,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
I'm not
wouldn't
had,
bank
expecting
on
like
it.
The Witcher here or anything like that,
Yeah.
I
but
wouldn't bank on it being
Yeah.
something that's a selling point.
no,
I
yeah,
actually
exactly.
have a
But
question for everybody. Is what do you think makes this Monster Hunter the one that has causing so many people that have never touched the series to really give it a shot and try? Because I think Monster Hunter World is going to be the one that truly breaks this franchise out in the West finally.
For me, it's
Full
because it
cycle,
doesn't
actually,
look
no.
like an N64 game. Like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
That's the
tried
first time
It's
it's
too
three.
graphics.
I tried 3U on the Wii U, and I didn't know rid of a 3DS game, and I just like I know graphics aren't everything, but it was so hard to get into it. It just looked like I don't know. It's way easier to get lost in the world of Monster Hunter World, like when the animations are so good and like the environments and like it's so much more immersive.
For me, it's like the control setup, right? Because like it started out on the PSP where it didn't have two
No, it
analog
started out
sticks,
on
so you had to have like the claw
Two.
setup if you wanted to like run and then also move the camera, and then it moved to the 3DS, which also like your hands cramped up really easily. So now you have it on consoles where you can lay back and play with the controller that you actually
there's been
is
console
comfortable
Monster
for you.
Hunters. It's always been more successful on handheld, but I mean, like the first one was on PS2, and then there was Monster Hunter Try on.
That's true.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
3 Ultimate was on.
I feel like this one's the one that's gonna like catch on because this is the first Monster Hunter on a console
This is
in the West
yeah,
since
in
the
the
PlayStation
West.
2.
Exactly,
Like the last
exactly.
console one we got was on the Wii U, and no one owned a Wii U. But now you
exactly.
can play Monster Hunter on your Xbox One
The reason it was always so
or and your
popular,
PC later on the year. Like it's gonna pick up.
the reason it was so popular on handhelds is because it was always a Japanese game, and that's what the Japanese always preferred to play on. So I think
Right.
that this might be the time. Like once it breaks out to the
Wait
West,
until
it'll
there's
be
a
console
Switch
on.
Monster Hunter. Holy
well,
shit.
so here's the deal, and I want to get curious, and so I know this is anecdotal, and it's not a 100% accurate way. Right now, Monster Hunter World, at least the PlayStation version, is trending.
Holy crap!
And I think the Xbox version is only a few slots
competing
behind it.
against right now in January.
What was that, Zach?
I think a lot of its success is branched in a couple things, and I think a lot of it is what people have mentioned, right? The graphics engine is quite good. It's quite impressive compared to what we've seen in the last 10 years from Monster Hunter. But it's also the consoles that it's on. It is on a platform that tons of people have access to. But also, Monster Hunter plays best with friends, or at least in an online capacity. And to move on to Xbox and PS4, PC later on, is to move on to a platform with competent online services. And I like Nintendo a lot, but their services for online haven't been robust. And as we saw from the beta, for those of us who played it, the beta version of matchmaking in Monster Hunter World is bad, but from what I understand, the final release product will be good. So between robust online, good multiplayer and platforms that have a high adoption rate at this point, I think that's primarily why we'll see a lot of success here.
Hey,
I'd
I
was
like.
just curious because I know everyone has their own reason.
Well, just real
It's
quick.
also launching in a good month. January it's kind of slow this month, other than Dragon Balls. Dragon Ball Fighter. So it's a lot of people are looking to pick something up. This looks like, this is kind of a simple way, kind of simplistic way to look at it, but I also think it has to so there's a lot of people seem to be into third person open world action games. This gen, The Witcher 3 was huge. People were hugely into Horizon. They were into Zelda. They're
People want to make
into
their own structure right now. That's
yeah,
the
yeah. So I think a lot of people look at Monster Hunter World and they're like, yeah, this looks kind of similar. Or it looks like something that I could possibly into as well, because it's a third person view. You get customize your character.
something you can keep coming back to.
Yeah, oh, I can explore this world. I think people are really
There's gonna be
digging
plenty. There's gonna be
and,
plenty of DLC. They'll support the shit out of this game.
yeah, yeah. So I think people are really into that kind of stuff this gen. So it's probably, I bet that has to do with it a little bit.
Apparently,
I wanna
real
give a
quick.
special shout out to,
Apparently my audio is cutting in and out. So if somebody in chat can let me know if I'm better. Anyway, please
Shout out
continue.
Celeste, which just came out today. It's a platformer game. It came on the PlayStation 4, Steam, and PC today. And it comes
I've
from
heard about this. I need to
Oh,
look it up.
Celeste, yeah.
My bad. There's a really
Ooh,
good
it
Tim
looks
Rogers video.
good.
There's a really good video of Tim Rogers from Kotaku playing it, and I highly recommend that people watch that one.
I watched that earlier today too. That was a good video.
Here, I think we had Resident Evil 7, and I think the year before that we had Dying Light. Or am I?
Dying Light was very early. It was
that
like
was 2015, but yeah,
Okay.
that was
Dying Light was still, it was like February.
Speaking of Dying Light, that's still getting content.
Yeah.
for it
Which is still
yearly.
getting
So
content, and I think-
the support for that game has been amazing.
One thing that needs to be said is that Japan has adopted the early months of the year as like their big release time, and it's worked really well for them. It happened last year. January, February, and March were just chock full, and April too, with Japanese games, because those were the games that would never be able to compete during the holidays. And I think it's really smart, because then that's why Monster Hunter is a November game. No chance.
Yeah.
But as a January game, fantastic
Just so
choice.
you guys know, I hate.
Now we just need somebody to fill that fucking summer void, and then we'll actually have games to play all year long.
Let's talk about Dragon Ball Fighters really
Hold
quick.
on, wait, guys. I'm hearing audio feedback again.
So on my birthday, someone should buy it for me.
Does anyone here have it? Is anyone playing it?
Now we just need somebody to No. fill that fucking summer void.
Hey, can you
It's
guys?
not out yet, is it?
No, it's
Not till
midnight.
Can anybody hear me?
But the
I thought it
the
was. I don't know why I thought it was out.
The Xbox One beta is going on right now. Someone should buy it for me.
I have had
Or what's
bad luck
going
on Xbox One, so I mean anecdotally, but I've had bad connection issues for the 3 or 4 times I've tried to play it throughout the past couple of weeks when the beta periods were live. Who knows? This developer / publisher usually gets their games going by launch, so maybe it's just a beta thing.
Did you play the beta going on right now?
The day, like the 24-hour Xbox One exclusive one. I haven't played that one.
Yeah,
Guys, can
the
you hear me?
network is incredibly improved for Xbox One players.
Wonderful. So I'm happy to hear that. I mean, reviews glowingly of the gameplay, much more accessible, less deep is kind of the read I was getting from some reviews. I haven't played that.
No, I mean less deep compared to Arc System's other games like Guilty Gear or Blaze Blue.
Okay.
It's
So relative.
designed,
Persona 4
designed
Arena.
to be an entryway into getting casual Dragon Ball fans into actual fighting game mechanics, and hopefully that will lead them to other Arc System games like the other ones coming out this year.
Yeah.
Because it's the definition of an easy to learn, hard to master game.
Right.
Right.
The new Dragon Ball reminds me a lot of the not Dragon, the Persona 4 Arena games they made a couple years ago, which were like easy to pick up, but they were hard to master because they wanted Persona fans to be able to like play the games and feel comfortable with them.
Yep.
So I applaud Arc they want Persona fans to be able to like play the games
accessible
and feel
because
comfortable.
having more people playing fighting games is only going to be healthy for the genre.
Can anybody hear me now?
I'm
Yeah.
primarily a 3D fighting game player. Like I play a lot of Tekken, I play a lot of Virtual Fighter 5. So like so I don't really play 2D fighting games because I suck at them. But like the Dragon Ball beta was like it was fun to play because I could just pick up and play it, and I felt like a badass.
Accessible because having more people.
I think they have achieved that like perfectly, and like Dragon Ball is all about being like badass and fights and like game player like with that, and the game looks beautiful. So
Nobody can hear me.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick it up eventually.
Please do.
But like
Yeah, it reminds me of a game that I will absolutely pick up, and like this isn't. I hate saying this because it reinforces the thing. It is not my type of game. I've never played Dragon Ball, never watched Dragon Ball. It's not my thing, but the art style is enough to make me want to pick up the game. It's just not something I want to pick up at $60, considering how low of an investment I am in the series. But it looks great. It's shocking that we have two good games releasing at the same time this early in the year, but it's great for people who are fans.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a new method here since we spent way too much time on this like segment.
At $60, considering
If everyone wants to, you can name one game you're really excited for that's coming out in the next couple months, and that's it.
Great. It's shocking that we have two quick.
Far Cry 5.
Yeah, Far Cry 5 is gonna be good.
Oh my god, it looks so great, and I've been getting into again lately, and I am so ready for another.
Far
I
Cry,
can't believe I'm saying this, but like another just like Ubisoft.
Yeah, no, I'm the
do
same
way too many
way.
things and get lost. Type
Like
game.
I rip on Ubisoft games like all day on fucking social media and shit, and then when Far Cry comes out, it's like none of that matters. And like I just want to fucking play Far Cry.
And I'm stoked for the setting too.
'Cause
Like
I
Montana.
loved Far Cry Primal even. It wasn't like a 10 out of 10 game, but like it was good.
Yeah, I enjoy Primal too.
I prefer the Far Cry with guns, but
Me too. That was the biggest problem with it. The melee combat in Primal wasn't as good as the gunplay in the others.
Yeah.
I am very much looking forward to the Shadow Colossus remaster and Yakuza 6.
When do those come out?
Shadow Colossus comes out the first week of February, and Yakuza comes out sometime in March.
When has Bluepoint ever disappointed?
Never.
Never. They're perfect. Their track record is pretty much perfect.
So the question is, we have to pick a game coming out in the next couple months that we're excited about.
God of War.
Yeah.
All the
I mean,
way.
as someone that hated God of War 3, like I this is the direction that I was asking for.
I've never played God of War.
I actually hate God of War 3. It was
You
an
guys hear me
awful
now?
experience.
Why do you hate?
Because of Kratos.
No?
I mean, like literally what I was asking for was like I hate that Kratos is this whiny bitch and blah 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 blah. And I wanted him to be like held responsible for his actions. Like the direction that they're taking God of War 4 is exactly what I was asking for.
Okay, well that's good. Did you
give a game a shout out?
I think especially after playing the beta, I am cautiously optimistic about Sea of Thieves. Before the show, a couple of us from the podcast were playing together. Even when there wasn't a lot going on, we were just fucking around trying to get the ship moving in the direction we wanted to go in. The game was very fun. I don't know about the game's longevity, but what we played with friends was strong. I liked it, and with Game Pass,
that game is just like fucking around the game. Like we were going along, we hit something, and then like we started leaking water. So like two of us were down trying to get the water out.
Panicked.
One was like putting the planks up, and then like Gabe jumps off, and he's like lost in the sea. So it's just like
I can hear you, John.
pandemonium.
I was able to hear you there.
and I think one of
Yeah, I can hear you.
Jesus Christ.
Discord gang. Sorry again for the millionth time, gang. We're really sorry about any technical issues.
Yeah,
We're playing with Discord for the first time. We
Everything's
will
going wrong
listen to we will play with it and see what we can do to make it better. We apologize. Thanks for your patience.
It's a
Just a
feature.
reminder that there is we have a giveaway at the end, so stick around if you'd like. But one thing with that's really great about Sea of Thieves so far is it's a shallow game, at least in the beta. It's incredibly shallow. but it is driven by these emergent moments that you have with friends. And I played it yesterday with strangers. Still had a good time finding treasure.
Hold on, guys, hold on. We've got to figure out this feedback because it's not coming from me.
3 or 4 times I've tried to play it throughout the past couple of weeks when the beta periods were live.
Muted like the whole time, so.
It's incredibly
Same.
shallow.
There's a huge delay on it. They're saying it's got like, are you sure you don't have it open in Twitter or like a
Yeah, I mean,
or
I
anything?
can
Like, have
hear
you
it. I
checked
can
all
hear
your
it coming
tabs?
through on my microphone. I can hear it coming through right here. It's not coming from me.
So for me,
Hmm.
my question for that issue, Gabe's headphones seem to have a weird
There's
plug.
a
Gabe,
huge
can you
delay
hear
on
us,
it. They're
bud?
saying it's got like, are you sure you don't have it open in Twitter or like
Well,
a
it might be Gabe.
Yeah, it's. Hold
So
on.
Gabe seems to be kind of AFK, and maybe that's the issue. And
Yes,
so we
I can't hear you.
apologize.
I'm just muted, so
So for me,
trying to hear the
Unless
stream.
unless someone can hear Overwatch, then it's not me.
Gabe, can you hear?
Great. I'm glad we got your full attention.
Come on, everybody mute your
Alright.
mics. Everybody mute your
Well,
mics
it
right
might
now.
be Gabe.
We're gonna figure this out. Yeah, it's.
Everyone's saying it
Then
got
I'm
better
gonna-
as soon as Gabe started talking.
Maybe that's the issue. And
Yes,
so we
I can't hear you.
apologize.
I'm just muted, so
So for me,
trying to hear the stream.
Unless someone can hear Overwatch, then
Yeah, this is terrible. Gabe, can you hear?
great. I'm glad we got your full attention.
Come on, everybody mute your mics. Everybody mute your mics right now. We're gonna figure this out.
Okay.
Okay,
Should
Jeff.
we try again?
Yeah, so Jeff, everybody's muted. I can, but you and me, and I can still hear it.
I'm just muted, so
Can you still hear me?
That if you can still hear it, John, that means it's playing on your computer somewhere.
It's not. I mean, I haven't
Like-
muted.
I don't know what to
Hold
tell.
on.
Like if
Yeah,
if we're all muted and you're still hearing it, it's gonna be playing in a tab or
Jeff, everybody's muted.
Got a little better when John was muted, but not
Yeah.
when Gabe did.
okay.
Can you still hear me?
That if you can
I
still
don't
hear
know.
it, John, that means it's playing on.
Oh,
your
somebody
computer
says we might
somewhere.
have feedback on in OBS. That sounds about right. That sounds like
might
a fuck up
be,
we would do.
that might be true actually.
I don't know what to tell. Like if
Yeah,
we're all
Great.
muted and you're still hearing.
I'm
it,
really
it's
glad you guys are
playing in a
here for all
tab
this good
or-
content.
Yeah.
Got a little better when John was muted. We're really, we did test streams all week and it's clearly showing.
Yeah, it's
so-
what.
so we
Here's the thing: we did test
appreciate
streams
that.
all week, and it was working perfectly.
Somebody says we might have feedback on.
It
Yeah.
was
Well, we didn't
working
have this. We
perfectly.
didn't have a big
We didn't
enough
have this
audience.
feedback.
Something like a fuck up we would. Yeah.
We didn't have this feedback at all.
I'm really well, so
I almost.
so
I mean,
regarding
I mean,
this really.
I almost want. I mean, people can't.
Look.
People can't concentrate. I almost want to end the. I almost just want to end it. Yeah. It's what. Here's the thing: we did test streams all week, and it was working perfectly.
Guys, should we power through? Chat. Let's do it in a minute.
Let us. Yeah, guys. Let us know in chat if we want to. If you guys want us to power through, or you want us to stop it and try again next week, because I mean I can hear it. I can hear it now. It wasn't there at the beginning of the show.
Well, we're gonna keep going and power through. I also agree. Let's just power through. This is bad audio. We'll do a lot of back-end testing on next week, and hopefully we'll be better next week.
Okay. I mean, people seem to want us to
know,
keep going, so let's just go.
All right, the dumpster fire will never end, but maybe it'll get a little smaller.
Okay,
So
performance. We're gonna talk about the Xbox One Game Pass.
yeah,
Oh, shit,
let's talk about Game
yeah,
Pass.
let's just fucking talk about Game Pass. God, this. Oh, this is annoying the shit
Okay.
out of me. All right, Game Pass. Zach, you're the Xbox guy.
Okay. Yeah, so I think the Game Pass pivot is both interesting, and also I think that we will be feeling its ramifications for a long time, not just in Microsoft, but how this affects other people. I think EA Access started this trend a couple years ago, and now we're seeing some more of it. But the Game Pass, for those of you who are out of the loop, is essentially all of Microsoft's first-party games will now go directly into Game Pass day one. The same price has always been. And so basically, for $10 a month, U.S. prices, you can forever maintain that and have access to their games. I think that's incredibly interesting. But one of the things that I think is so great about that is Microsoft, especially from what we've seen so far, being Sea of Thieves and Crackdown 3 particularly, there's a lot of skeptical people, rightfully so, and now the barrier to entry for consumers is low, which is good for consumers and probably good for Microsoft too. That's incredibly interesting.
So here's my
Yeah,
deal, right? Oh no, I'm sorry. Go no, go ahead.
Especially from what we've seen so far, being Sea of Thieves.
I mean, like, I feel like Xbox Game Pass is probably like it's a good move for Microsoft because it helps them achieve their they want their games to be a service. Like they don't want it all be tied to like one game system.
Good for Microsoft too.
But like to me, it just seems like Microsoft may not care about software sales anymore, and they might just be more worried about like subscription, like the
Yeah.
subscription numbers.
I think that's exactly it. And then some people have had positive and negative reactions to that. I think you're absolutely right. I don't think Microsoft cares about hardware or software sales anymore. I mean, we kind of saw this probably 12 months ago, maybe even longer, when they stopped reporting Xbox One sales directly. Partially that could have been because they were getting hammered by their competition, but they've kind of backed away from that. And I mean, look, they have the numbers that we don't, but economically they've worked this out to a point where $10 a month earns them money that they might not have gotten otherwise. One of the most productive conversations I've heard around this.
I think it's a win-win. I think the consumers win, and I think Microsoft wins. You know, they obviously have the incentive to do this, and so if we can get all these cool games and pay $10 a month, that's pretty awesome. I think. You know.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of people can use Game Pass now to try out like brand new exclusive games, and like $10 a month is a lot cheaper than renting a game from Redbox for like $3 a night.
Yeah, and
like a whole month to try out a game to see if you actually like it or not, and then you can go buy it physically if you want to, or you can buy it digitally if you want to.
Well, it's 20% off too, as long as you're subscribed.
I mean, like,
subscriptions are where we're going.
But people don't want the games to be tied to a subscription service. They want to own the game. So I mean, like, paying $10 just to try out for a month is not a bad deal.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, one of the things that I think is interesting too, Microsoft, right, is that there are all Sea of Thieves is the biggest thing, Crackdown 2, also. But look, people say I don't want to pay $60 for Sea of Thieves. I don't blame them.
Yo, have you seen how Sea of Thieves has blown up on Twitch?
It's huge. Yeah. Oh, it's huge.
Like Overwatch League was on last night, and it had like 100,000 viewers, and Overwatch was the number 2 game on Twitch.
Yeah.
And Sea of Thieves had like 50,000 more viewers. It was fucking nuts.
Good streaming game because it's entertaining and it's in itself. Like, you have these people that are trying to figure stuff out, and that is it's like the old Ubisoft where they had the voiceovers of the streamers, like for Ghost Recon Wildlands, and I think they did Division. It's like that, but genuine. It's entertaining, and there's not a whole lot of information on your screen, so you have to communicate to accomplish anything in the game. It's not just something that you can like slog through, like, like Ghost Recon, let's shoot the people, and there's little to no coordination.
Yeah, and I think what was most like compelling about when we were playing was that, like, I'm gonna say this and people are gonna like roll their eyes. Like Breath of the Wild, it's kind of like you have to choose your own like activity, kind of like. We didn't have an objective marker. We had a map that like vaguely pointed us to this island, and then we got there and we're like, oh, okay, there's a ship over there. Let's go over there. Oh, we hit a bunch of rocks. We went through a storm, and that was like one of the coolest things that's happened to me in a game in like a long time.
The waves in that game, whenever it storms,
like riding these 30-foot waves and like holes in the ship because like it couldn't take the storm, and we were just like quickly bailing out and patching it up, all the while trying to still make it to this ship that we wanted to fight.
Yeah, and like it's really funny because when I saw trailers for the game at E3 and in previous conferences, Microsoft tried to kind of convey this with like, hey, we're gonna have random people and we're gonna have their audio intermixed with the trailer, like basically like a group of people playing the game, and it comes off as kind of phony and kind of cheesy and weird, just like old Ubisoft trailers used to. But frankly, that's how it plays. And hopefully the beta is going on until next Wednesday, and so hopefully SDGC will host a stream for people to kind of come check it out. It is a game that I don't know about legs, but it is incredibly fun to watch if you enjoy the people streaming it or if you enjoy the people you're playing with.
If there's constantly new content getting injected into that game, that's gonna be really fun
It
to
could be
come back
Microsoft
to.
Games as a Service. You're absolutely yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that's their plan.
So I have a question though to the people that have played it. Because we all know one of the biggest problems, at least in our group, is actually coordinating enough people to play consistently. Is Sea of Thieves a game that can live by itself as a solo experience?
No.
God, no.
I don't think
No.
so.
No.
So
I've heard the same
absolutely
thing from
not.
people. Yeah.
Can I actually have a funny story about this.
I have a question though.
So
Yeah,
I was
please.
playing the alpha, which was forever ago now, and I got grouped up with a bunch of people that we all spoke different languages.
Oh, nice.
It was so hard to like coordinate like we were supposed to do. Like we got nowhere, and I think I ended up just stealing the treasure and just like
Is
swimming
there
away
any
with it
sort of
'cause-
like a communication wheel that you can use like for
No,
basic?
I-
No.
There's
I
also
think
there's
there
type,
is.
there's type to talk and there's text and voice.
Well,
Okay.
there's like a radial wheel too of
I
like
don't think
quick
there's text.
messages, but
Okay, yeah, that's what I was
couldn't
asking.
Oh,
find
there
it.
is.
Nice
I didn't know it was on
save.
console.
I didn't see it.
So
What a
like the only,
save. Nice shot.
so like the only English word like they
Savage.
knew was retard, so they kept on calling me retard.
Oh,
Oh my
so he knew the
god.
right word. The only word he needs.
I haven't played since because I'm like I don't know. I don't want to get grouped up with like people I don't understand and they don't understand me because I feel like that would kill the experience.
Yeah,
that is the biggest thing is you need to play with people who can support you and you know it's a social game. It's not at all a random people game.
yeah. And so like the way it's built right now, so the game gives you an option of sailing alone. It's drastically less fun, so I wouldn't recommend it. One of the things that I did yesterday because I didn't have any friends on playing is I joined a group of randoms. My experience was better than what Jay is describing by a lot. We were communicating, and it was like this really fun anecdote where the treasure map will sometimes either have an X on a map and you'll go find the treasure, or it'll be a riddle. So you'll find the island and then you'll have to solve a riddle. And so one of the things we were doing was standing under this wreckage of a ship. One of us was using a compass and one was using the map, and we were measuring out 7 paces northwest of this shipwreck on this island. And so we were literally counting like 1 step, 2 steps, and then we would both take out our shovels, and like there's this satisfying thud as you hit this chest. And it's like this really immensely satisfying thing, especially when you're spent struggling for 15 minutes or so to find a chest when you actually do it. But the game, I wouldn't recommend it if you're like, I only play alone. I just would not go into this venture if you're not willing to matchmake at the very least with random.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like just to move the ship, you gotta like
Yeah.
hoist anchor and drop sails, and then you gotta steer and look at them, like go down below deck to look at the map, and like I don't know, it's taxing to do anything, but I think that's why it's so fun because like you are coordinating with everybody. Like you're like you hoist the sails, like you steer, you get on the crow's nest, tell me if we're gonna hit something.
Playing this game alone would be exhausting.
Yeah, I played it alone last night, and like it was, I don't know, it was
Just not
fun. It was fun, but I cannot see doing it for more than an hour. And also, it made me motion sick, and because I was like the whole time I was running around, and the camera movement. Like too.
That doesn't help things at all.
And the Twitter
You know-
DM, I
Yeah,
told
shouldn't say
everybody I got drunk, and
And
Jeff thought I
we'll
was
share
drunk.
some video from tonight when we were playing. But like there are just these like little emergent dumb things that we'll do where Maddie, JT, and Gabe and I were playing, and we all just took out our hurdy-gurdies and our accordions, and we were just playing together on the docks and on our ship. And like, it's dumb. Like you can load yourself up into a cannon and fire yourself, and we all 4 of us load ourselves into cannons and fired ourselves over this giant island and landed in the water on the other side, where we were then attacked by sharks in the water. It's just like these little cheesy moments that I can't see myself playing forever, but it's really fun. And I think it's perfect for Game Pass. For people who are skeptical, like Jay mentioned, Redbox is $3 a night, and it's so for basically less than 4 nights of renting a game, you can have it for an entire month. Game Pass seems really smart. I would hope that this spurs some sort of competition between Sony and Nintendo to offer something similar. But I don't think we'll see that because Sony is so comfortable in the lead, and Nintendo sees.
So,
I hope
Jay,
that's
I was
not the
going to touch on
trade-off.
that. Like, I think talking about Game Pass, I don't want to say like they're never going to make single player games, but to me it just reinforces kind of their approach to like their live games, right? Like Forza, like Gears multiplayer, like Halo 5's multiplayer was really popular. Because I think that you see that's what EA's done with Origin Access and why Origin's been so successful. They've got FIFA and Madden and Battlefront and like these live multiplayer games. That's what keeps people subscribing monthly. You don't keep monthly subs by just putting out like big single player games that people play, finish in a month, and then don't touch, right? Like people want to continuously have access to all these games that they're playing daily. And so like it doesn't mean that they're never going to make single player games. I just think that Sea of Thieves is a great example of the type of games we're going to be seeing from them. Crackdown, State of Decay, these games that are all about co-op multiplayer and that they can continue to collect revenue from the game itself, like Jay talked about the loot boxes and Forza on top of the sub. That's Microsoft's path to sustainability and what'll let them keep doing this stuff.
Right.
The
sorry, I
only thing
interrupted
that really
someone.
stands out to me is the new Fable that we all know about now, since that's supposed to be a single player title.
Well, yeah,
I mean, it'll have multiplayer options, I'm sure, whether that's just co-op or whatever. It'll have.
I mean, they haven't announced it yet, so I mean, like,
Yeah.
we can just assume right now, like all we can assume right now is a single player game. So like,
you touched on EA Access, Jeff. I know Shinobi might be interested in this one. The news earlier today was that Dragon Age 4 or whatever they're going to call it is going to have more of that that live content that that's being ever prevalent in games going forward. So I don't think that's going away. It's only going to get more and more popular as we go on. And this is definitely like a future-looking move for Microsoft.
Yeah, and regarding, it's very complicated, right? So there are I think more than anybody on here, I play a lot of Microsoft games, first party stuff. Microsoft has good and bad microtransactions, if you can consider them like that. I think things like Halo's rec packs are rather unobtrusive. It's very easy to not spend any money on those lifetime. I think those types of microtransactions are fine in game, and so I don't have a problem with them. But in regards to things like Gears of War or even Forza Motorsport 7, I guess I would have concerns about them ramping that up as they look to make up for lost revenue. Aren't spending $60 on their games anymore. But on the other side of that, this podcast has everybody on it who buys and plays it, and that's good. But the average consumer doesn't. The average consumer spends probably under $200 a year on just video games, and they get 2 to 4 games. One of them is probably a sports game, and one of them is probably Call of Duty.
Finn,
And they're
Zach, real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Dio in chat just said, Finn, are you sure it's not you? You're not using headphones.
I mean, I've been muted half the time. I keep trying to mute it, but
spends probably under $200 a year on just
it's something.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway,
so
Zach,
Finn's muted right now.
Look. So basically this. I don't want to see them ramp up microtransactions. I'm hoping not. But my point is, if Microsoft, I mean, we need to look at how much Microsoft is actually making off first-party games a year in the first place. I don't think it was much. They weren't having a lot of output. They don't always sell incredibly well. I don't think there's that much lost output. I mean, you need to keep in mind, while somebody has Sea of Thieves access for a year, Microsoft is still making a guaranteed $100 to $120 off consumers a year. That's probably more than they made off each individual last year when you consider the average number of games bought and Microsoft's cut of game. I don't think they're going to be making that much less money. Look, they've got access to numbers that we don't, obviously. I totally understand people's hesitation and skepticism around Microsoft and thinking there might be nefarious intent with Game Pass. I think that Microsoft is trying to build themselves a subscription service model with continuous revenue that they don't have to count on a new game keeping the money flowing. I think they want to be the Netflix of games. Whether that's positive or negative, based on your internet connection, based on if you're willing to spend $120 a year, is up for debate. I like to think that it's not them trying to work out a way to get players to spend more money on microtransactions.
I would just like to remind people that with Game Pass, you can actually download the games. It's not streaming the games.
That's a huge thing
Because
because
you just brought up internet connection. It's like if you bought the game physically or digitally, you have to download it nonetheless. So
yeah, but
Right. The only reason I
PS
brought that
Now,
up-
if you have any decent connection right now with PS Now, it's still laggy. It's still a piece of crap. Like, I'm sorry, but it is. Like, the implementation, the technology is not there yet to be able to stream all these games. So I like that that's an option. You know, if PS Now had something like that, that would be great.
Right. Well, and the reason I brought up internet is a lot of Microsoft, especially if you own the Xbox One X, have huge file sizes now. Halo, Gears of War, Halo 5, Gears of War, Forza Motorsport 7, and then Halo Master Chief Collection are all coming in near 100 gigabytes each, which is a very big download size. There are obviously smaller titles on offer there.
You would get that if you bought the game. So
Well, I guess. But if you have a physical copy, then you're installing a lot of it, and then you're splitting the download 50-50 or whatever the ratio.
I love the 100 gigabyte. It's like updates. Like Halo, I think when it came out it was like maybe under 50, and now it's close to 100 because of updates. So if you bought physically, you would still have to update the game to 100.
So I want to, I've been quiet for a while because I've been trying to figure out this fucking echo. But yeah, never popped up in testing. I have no idea what's happening. We'll get it figured out. We got 2 IT professionals on this podcast. Just want to apologize to everybody for the inconvenience. But I want to throw my hat in the ring on this whole Game Pass thing. And I'd also like to get I'd also like to kind of loop Nate into the conversation as well. When we're talking about Game Pass, I don't know, like I haven't played Sea of Thieves. I don't even own an Xbox, so like I don't have a dog. I don't have a dog in this fight. Although now I want one, and I think that's actually kind of the great. I think that's kind of the most compelling thing about what Microsoft is doing with Game Pass, right? Is the fact that it is extremely tempting for guys like me to pick up an Xbox One now. Especially with Sea of Thieves getting such a great reception. I mean, we mentioned earlier, it was number 2 on Twitch the other day. It was the number 2 most watched game on Twitch. Everybody's here seems to have super positive impressions of it. And I will be the first to admit that I was down on the game. And I'll admit, like, without playing it, it didn't look interesting to me. But having heard everybody's impressions, maybe it's something I'd like to try. I guess my question is if I sign up for Game Pass, and again, this is coming from somebody who doesn't know how it works, isn't it like a Netflix service? I mean, what if I'm paying for Game Pass and I've got all my I've got my saved state on Sea of Thieves, right? What if they remove it from Game Pass? What happens to my saved games? I mean, is that gone?
Your saved games would be on the cloud. So if you were to purchase the game through some other method, it would still be there.
Yeah, I'd imagine it would be like PS Plus games when you let your subscription lapse. Like they would stay there.
Yeah, your saves don't go anywhere. Just your access to the game. Like your game will probably still be installed on your system,
but I can't.
You just won't be able to access it. Right. Just
you can delete the whole entire experience from your account. 100 gigs, like saves. So that is the nice aspect of Game Pass.
So I guess here's my question, right? And I kind of wanted to pivot the conversation back to Game Pass for a minute. If Microsoft is doing this, right, and what's not if they're doing is they are doing this, it holds a lot of ramifications for the platform itself. I mean, it's the first great step towards Xbox being a service as opposed to a console, which I think is a smart move. I mean, I think this generation is probably lost for them, which is not a bad thing. I mean, there's no, as long as it's selling well, there's no winners or losers. So if you want to say, I say lost in quotation marks, meaning it's not going to sell as much as the PS4 had. But do you guys think, and I'd like to get Nate's take on this too. Do you guys think that this is something that Sony has to answer? Like, do you think they've got to come back with something? Because this is a pretty big move, and it's going to look attractive to a lot of people like me who don't own an Xbox. So do you feel like Sony's got to counter with something, be it backwards compatibility or somehow amping up the value for PS Now, which is complete garbage in my opinion?
I think Microsoft has kind of been smart with this. Sony has something that's been working very well for them. They've got a lot of third-party support. They got a lot of Japanese support. They've got their party titles. They're pretty much one of the only major publishers still making like solely big AAA single-player experiences like Horizon. And I think Microsoft has kind of not given up on that, but said, okay, we're going to start winning people's hearts and minds and mind share by carving out a services niche with their backwards compatibility, Game Pass, basically, everything around the system and getting everyone in on that ecosystem feeling really good about being part of the Xbox community and playing on Xbox. And I think this just builds on that. And so I mentioned before, like I think EA Access and the Game Pass program both rely heavily on a large amount of. You can complement it with single player games, but it's important to have those big live games in there that keep people wanting to come back month after month. And I don't know that Sony has anything like that right now. I don't know how the licensing deals work with third party, like how Microsoft gets agreements with companies to put their games on Games Pass, but I don't know that that'd be as appealing on a Sony platform because I feel like, with Microsoft, I'm tempted to stay sub so I can always play Forza and Sea of Thieves and Gears and Halo. But with Sony, I'm like, I would sub for a month and play God of War, and then I don't know when's their next big game. Like, why am I going to be subbed for God of War all summer? Like, I already finished it. So that's my take, but I'd like to hear what Nate thinks too.
Yeah, I would. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
And I want to throw an additional question to Nate as well. Not just that, Nate, but I mean, let's not forget we've got somebody who is the PR marketing head for a developer on the podcast right now. So I think another interesting question for Nate would be: do you share any of the concerns that some of the Xbox fan base have had about this affecting sales of games released in brick and mortar stores and on the digital front, like Xbox Live? And of course, you don't have to answer that, or if you don't have an opinion on it, that's fine. But I was wondering what your take on that was, man.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm not sure if I have an opinion on it, but I mean, I think it's healthy for the industry overall. Obviously, we're a small team, so I don't know how that's going to shake out, or if we're going to be hitting retail in the future or what have you. But in terms of like how Sony is going to respond, so some of you guys are saying, I think right now they're sitting really comfortable. They have such a strong lead that I don't think they're going to really. There's a need for them to respond right now, but I think for when come time next generation, they're definitely looking at the success that Microsoft's having with Game Pass and their digital kind of push. So I think they're definitely going to answer Microsoft's Game Pass and the what was the other thing I was thinking of? With PS Now, they're not that's not really a good platform in my
really
opinion. So
not,
I think
yeah.
they're definitely gonna address that come PS5 time. So
And Zach, you sounded like you were going to say something too.
Sure. I mean, the one thing I was going to talk about is people talking about, well, I'm going to subscribe for a month to play this AAA game and then cancel my subscription. That reminds me a lot of when HBO Now released it several years ago now, where people were like, all right, I'll subscribe for Game of Thrones season or for Westworld season or, some of their other limited series that only run a couple months a year. And I think that people would do that on Game Pass if it weren't for the other games that they're constantly adding to the roster, right? I think part of what makes Game Pass a compelling service isn't the first party bundle, it's the added bonuses that come with that. Whether it be the indie titles or some of the AAA games that I was like, kind of lukewarm on when they came out. There's a lot of value, and like I think there's like 100 games on it now, which is great, right? Because it basically means anytime I'm like, should I unsubscribe for a month between these big Microsoft releases, I can look at those 100 games and stay subscribed. And I think that obviously that's a benefit to the game. There's more people, or there's more content to be enjoyed, but also I think that's the saving grace of the platform and what stops people from only subscribing 3 months out of the year, for example, for single player games.
Well, I want to bounce it back.
Yeah,
to
I
you
mean,
guys.
I'm pretty sure Microsoft has to know at this point that like, oh, people will probably subscribe to our service for like a month, and they might stay on, they may not stay on. But I mean, like it's like business. You want to try to keep on the old customers, not try bringing new customers.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so like if someone leaves for like a month and they come back like 6 months later, Microsoft's gaining $10 there
yeah.
to produce that copy of the game physically. So like, there's really nothing lost in value there.
You're absolutely correct, and I think a lot of what Microsoft has done, even in the last probably 18 to 24 months, is everything that they have introduced to that platform feels like it has been catering to a base that already exists, which is great, right? You want to keep people invested in your ecosystem because they're the ones already spending money on you. Microsoft is already making a profit off of these people, so you want to keep them happy. But I think
I
that
feel
you're
like
right.
they're preparing for the future. This is not a right now thing. It's a Xbox 2. It's an Xbox 4, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Especially if Shinobi mentioned PS5. If they don't, if Sony doesn't do backwards compatibility, I mean, Xboxes now have on their next generation, they'll have 3 generations of back catalog that's already there that they can, boast about and saying, it's going to turn into a PC at that point.
I would be highly surprised if Sony doesn't implement back compat with the next console. I'll be really surprised
if the PS5 or whatever they're going to call it is not backwards compatible, then Sony is more tone deaf than I could have possibly dreamed.
I'll be really surprised.
I mean,
but they've seen some success with those $15 PS2 re-releases.
Yeah,
right? It's not just about success though; it's about what your competition is doing.
You're right,
and how you look, how you as a company look to, in general to the population. So it wouldn't be a good look for them at all, and it would be an area where Microsoft could just continue to dig into them. See what we're doing,
and it's
look what the other companies is not doing.
Well, and here's the interesting parallel, and I think this is the final point we should make tonight because we're kind of getting long in the tooth. But look at look at how much has changed from the beginning of the generation till now, right? Like we all remember E3 2013, and leading up to it, Microsoft had been wanting to implement those draconian DRM policies, right? And then Sony came out from under them and said, well, hey, you can get all your, you can use your used games, you could trade them. Here's a snarky video of us. This is how you trade a game. You don't have to worry about any of that. And of course, it never materialized for Microsoft because they did the smart thing and they didn't do any of that. But everybody hailed, everybody hailed Sony as being extremely pro-consumer and Microsoft as being. But now, I feel like the tables have turned. And I feel like what Microsoft has done with Game Pass, putting all their exclusives day one on Game Pass. What they've done with backwards compatibility, what they've done with game gifting, what they've done with EA Access, which I can't fucking believe that's not on PSN. I can't believe I can't use EA Access on PSN, which is, and you combine that with crossplay with PC and Nintendo.
Wait, can you use Origin on Xbox? The EA Access.
Yeah. So there's Origin Access on PC, and then there's Access.
Oh, really? I didn't know. I thought it was Origin only. Well,
they're two separate things.
They're two separate things, but yeah.
Nate mentioned
same
competition.
Concept,
Nate mentioned competition earlier, and I'm curious to see what Nintendo does because they have a very let's buy those NES games again. Let's buy those SNES games again mentality. So I'm interested to see what they do with their backwards compatibility on the Switch. You know?
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what they do with an
Once
online
over and
service.
over again.
Right.
In the first place, yeah.
What online service?
Well, and that's the thing, right? And that, I guess that's the point I'm trying to make, is that I feel like the tables have turned, and Microsoft has become a far more pro-consumer or consumer-friendly company than Sony has.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it
by
goes
far,
in cycles,
like,
right? Because you have your arrogant Sony,
Arrogant
and the
Sony.
PS3 generation, right?
It's really more out of necessity for Microsoft. I mean, it's
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
they had to do. They had to eventually get to this point. I mean, if they didn't, they would have been in a huge hole that they really couldn't have dug themselves out of.
You
So
know,
it's
the hubris of the success in the previous generation carries over to the next. Because
Right.
you know, like
Yep.
Sony was so successful with the PS2 that you had Ken Kutaragi telling you to get another job at the beginning of the PS3 generation. And then and then Xbox, Microsoft did so well with the 360 that by the time the Xbox One was coming out, they were
Seems
like,
like a
you're
weird
gonna
cycle.
play games the way
Keeps
we
going.
want you to play games. And,
Honest to God.
eventually they kind of changed their tune.
You have to applaud Microsoft though, because
You
they
do.
are killing it on service.
Absolutely. Oh
do.
yeah. I mean, ever since Phil Spencer came in, it's been.
Yes, it is pro-consumer for them to do so, but it's silly to believe that it's not a direct response to them being in second place.
Yeah, true.
You know what? As a consumer, who cares why? Being on Xbox, you have services galore that can't be found anywhere else, and that is a differentiator in this generation that is going to benefit them the more time goes on.
Well, and
Yeah. So like
go ahead,
games
JT.
games with gold or PS Plus free games that came about in the PS3 generation. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yeah. So that was an innovation
they were-
that the second competitor came up with, and now it's it's standard. Xbox is doing that. So it's always the guy that's down on the totem pole a little bit that's doing the innovation, and then that's good, that's healthy, that can now be brought up, and we'll have a level playing forward, and we win as the result.
It's why I never understand why people applaud when a company's doing badly and they're like, they should just get out of the console race. No, because competition breeds innovation, and it's genius. These companies would never do these kind of things if they weren't put in the market position where they needed to do that.
Well,
Just
yeah,
like
I mean-
just like the Switch is going to bring about Vita 2.
Oh, you
Well, I don't know
poor
about
soul.
that, but like we were just talking about PlayStation Plus. I mean, games with gold exist because of PlayStation Plus. It is, I mean, on the Xbox 360
Is
era, it was
there-
different. Now it is a shot for shot copy and paste of Sony's offer. I mean,
Yep.
and like that's what's. I mean, and again, like who wins? The people who are willing to pay for these subscription services.
Well, I mean, look at trophies and achievements. I mean, trophies exist because of achievements. I mean, there's no denying it.
Good ours is blue. Good
Well, and-
ours is steel.
Well, and I guess here's the last point I'll make, is that I think not only was it wise for Microsoft. Well, here, let me reword that. Not only was it necessary for Microsoft to implement all these pro-consumer stances, but I firmly believe had they continued, because I mean, around 2014, that whole year, half of 2015 at least, sales were in the tank. I mean, Xbox was not selling well, and I firmly believe had they not done this turnaround that they have, right now we'd be having a much different conversation about the future of Xbox. I believe they would be in incredibly dire straits. I think they're fine now, and I think they're going to continue to being fine.
For everyone before we end.
What was
With
that?
Game Pass, do you think Microsoft will tackle like budget titles now since they won't have sales figures? Will
So
we
you
see
mean, like, are they
will
gonna
we
make
see
smaller
more AAA
projects?
titles and like more $20
I
games
see
from
what you're saying.
Microsoft?
Didn't Phil Spencer? I mean, I think I recall him saying not too long ago that Game Pass would something about the revenue that they would get from Game Pass or something like that would help them kind of subsidize new smaller projects, internally,
Yeah.
or help smaller teams.
And I think that's so
something
smart to
about
have
that,
them have them support each other, right? Like you put out more games more frequently, maybe not indie, but like that mid tier.
Yeah.
And then those increase your subs and keep people coming back, and then that
Yeah.
money in turn funds more games. If you can get into rhythm, you could be in a really good spot.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely true. Like, I think we will look Gears. Look at how much they've spent on making franchise studios, right? Like Gears, Forza, Halo are not going anywhere. But I think we will see things like Super Lucky's Tale. And I think that Super Lucky's Tale gets a bad name because of when it came out a week after Mario.
Yeah, it's such a
but
bad release window for that game.
such a bad release window. Yeah, they set it up to die. But that's beside the point. I think Game Pass will probably bring in a lot more money. I mean, look, we're not analysts. We've got friends of the show who are analysts, and we'll hear about it. I think that Microsoft is going to make a lot of money off of this, and I'm a big consumer of Microsoft products. I would be upset if I did not see them spending additional money on first party and third party projects to bring smaller projects to life while still sticking to their big franchise. I mean, look, we're not analysts.
Well, I think we should probably wrap it up here as we're at over an hour and a half. But before we go, really good points all around. Before we go, Jay, why don't you announce the winner of our giveaway?
That I'm sorry. As you guys know, we had the Saki Plus Teespring campaign a week or so ago, and I just want everyone to know that the donation has been approved by Child's Play. We didn't make a lot of money, but all that money went towards Child's Play. So thank you to everyone who bought a Saki Plus shirt and or mug.
If you wanted Saki merch, you missed your chance, and you're never gonna.
No, you'll get another chance soon.
Can I just say how weird it is that there's Saki merchandise somewhere in people's homes?
Like right now,
It's high fashion now.
Right
It's gonna be
now,
high
people.
fashion ruled in like 5 years. We're gonna see Kanye West rocking a Saki Plus shirt in
Hell
5
yeah.
years.
He's gonna be. He's gonna get there on stage.
So guys-
He's gonna interrupt somebody during an award. He's gonna be like, "Look, I'm real happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish." But SDGC has the best mascot of all time. And he's gonna drop the mic and walk off. That's what I want.
SDGC. Drum roll, please. About to announce the winner.
Yep, let's announce it.
The winner of our giveaway is at Super Moo.
Yep, I know him.
Yay.
He's a fan of the podcast.
Yeah.
I know him. So.
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
he
that's what all the count.
Yes, I will contact you through the official Twitter account, and I will ask if you want Dragon Ball or Monster Hunter. So thank you so much for entering the giveaway tweet, and thank you for being a good supporter of the show.
And I want to also I want to thank several people. One, I want to thank Nate at Shinobi602 with Wushu Studios for coming on. A really good personal friend of ours, not just a marketing PR head of a studio to us, but a friend and a brother. So we're so happy for you being in the industry that you love now, man. You deserve it, and the industry's better off with you in it.
Thanks so much, guys. Hope to be on the show more and maybe see some of you at E3 sometime.
Yeah, cool.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for your time, man. We appreciate it.
Some of us
My
will be
pleasure, my
at PAX East, man. Some of us will be at
Yeah, I
PAX
hope
East.
so.
I also want to
Hope
thank
so.
I want to thank everybody in chat for sticking with us as long as you have. Especially with this bug-ridden, glitch-filled episode 100. I want to assure everybody we will get the audio issue figured out. I know why the video didn't play at the beginning. Apparently, I had to manually start it. I thought it would automatic. I thought it would. So that's on me. So food for thought for next week. But we're gonna get this audio issue figured out. Sorry about all the audio issues. We don't know what's happening. We don't know if it's OBS or Discord or what. But we'll get it figured out. But you guys stuck with us. I did not see our viewer count go down at all the entire episode. I've been keeping tabs on it. So we really, really, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate that. And we're going to work hard to fix all this stuff for you and give you guys even better content in the future. And you guys are not just viewers to us. You are all our friends. And it's really, I don't know about you guys, but it's really cool transitioning from YouTube and seeing all the same people in chat.
Yep, I'm glad that people were patient with us tonight, but also were willing to follow us to Twitch. We appreciate that. We've asked for it before, but obviously, if you've got tips for us, if you think you know why our audio is very bad, tell us. We would love to hear your tips. But we'll figure it out. But the 200 episode maybe will be twice as good, so there'll only be half as much echo.
Exactly.
And if you want a Saki emoji in the Twitch chat, I mean, all you gotta do is follow.
Just follow us. Get us sponsored. Just get us sponsored, baby. That's all we need.
Like,
get that
subscribe,
stock emoji.
retweet, donate to our Patreon.
Join our Minecraft server.
buy our Saki coin cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Saki coin is doing great today. I've had a really 16%. So definitely go check that out.
Jeff,
I'm selling soon.
Jeff said in chat, SDGC, the only binaural audio on Twitch.
Well, that's because ETDP said.
Listening to our show is like playing Hellblade.
Yeah, well,
There you go.
dude, that's an excellent comparison.
Great.
It's
Excellent
too
comparison.
advanced.
We'll get it figured out. But we do appreciate everybody sticking with us. We love you guys, and awesome. So this has been episode 100 of the Superform Gamescast. As always, we don't always agree, and it's not always poetry, but we always keep it real. Until next week, we will see you guys later. Take.
Join us next week. Talk about the wonderful 101.